Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. I hope you're all well who's watching along and also going to catch up on the various different audio platforms that we're on as well. But I'm delighted to be joined by, first of all, McGinty. How are you, buddy?
Howdy. Not too bad. Another good weekend, so all happy in this household.
100%. Looking like a prime Paddy McCourt. And Jed, what about yourself? How you doing, buddy?
Fine, Stephen. It's fine. Good to be back in the Monday Club. Quite enjoy a Monday Club.
I were here. We had a wee bit of a long one on Friday, didn't we? What was it? 2 hours we had, so that was decent.
That destroyed me.
It went down some different rabbit holes, to be fair. But as you know, McGinty, we don't really have an agenda today. Obviously, everyone's been busy, me especially. But I think we'll obviously go back to the weekend's game, and we'll talk about, first of all, the lineup. I think I predicted something close to it, Jed. I can't quite remember on Friday's podcast.
Yeah.
It was near enough what I said it would be. Did I expect it to happen? I don't think so. But do you think that game was the right time to maybe explore different options with McGinty? Before we actually go on to obviously individual performances and the new players who come in, do you think he was right to make? Obviously, we look back in hindsight now, and Roger says he wasn't right. He won't do it again. But before the game, it looked like a good opportunity to kind of bleed some of the new guys in.
I have a sneaky feeling, and I might be wrong, but it's definitely happened to other managers in the last decade or so, that he's done this before in his first stint where he made wholesale changes and he's regretted it afterwards. But I might be confusing that with somebody else. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think when the lineup was announced, I looked at it and everybody looked at that back four and went, "Oh Christ, we've changed everybody." And there's reasons for a couple of them being carrying knocks and injuries, so it's kind of understandable a little bit. But I think as soon as we kicked off, I think it was clear as day that was too many for the backline. I think most people's sensible heads would have said, even before the game, like before the lineups were announced, like a day before, 2 days before, would have said, "Don't be stupid, don't change all four, just one or two of them." So maybe just value or maybe just trusty, but that would be the only change, but not both of them, sort of thing. In hindsight, lovely thing that is, kind of proves it was a little bit too much. That said, obviously, as we go into the game a bit further and we make the changes, it brings a bit more of a familiar face, especially middle to front. We get the goods, so it kind of worked out in the end okay. But yeah, it was a little bit too much, and I think it's a lesson learned and a wee bit of a let off.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think we actually, Jed and Freddie, we sung Falkirk's praises. They were unbeaten in their respective league. I think it's over 40 games, and John McGlynn has been playing well. And I think McGinty is right. Look, when you look back on the game, they did give us a good as game as anyone this season. Probably the best test that we've had in terms of an actual team coming to Celtic Park, trying to play football, trying to play possession-based football, playing out from the back, and respect to them. And Sam Fran comes in as well, kind of backing up what I was saying. It was a perfect time to find out who's not up for it in terms of the new guys, and we'll come on to that individually shortly. But when I seen the lineup, I get excited when I see players who haven't seen play before coming in just to see what they can do. Sinisalo, I think he was injured, which is unfortunate. I fully expected him to start, but again, you can't help that he's injured. Was there any surprises for yourself in that lineup in its entirety? I know there was 8 changes. I think there was only 3 outfield players that survived from the Slovan game.
The only surprise, well, not the only surprise, because I actually agreed with what you said with the starting lineup on Friday night. I thought Scales would have been playing. I just don't rate Welsh. Unfortunately, I don't. But no, I mean, I still, when the team came out, I still thought, look at the midfield. A lot of people were screaming for that to be the 3 again in the Champions League. So the midfield was strong enough. But the biggest thing for me was having down the left-hand side, Vala, however you want to pronounce it, and Palma. Palma gave him no support whatsoever. And like you say, hindsight's a wonderful thing. It may have been good if Vala came in when you had the normal back 3 playing. It was wholesale changes, but Palma just gave him nothing. To be honest, I thought he was poor. And also, as you touched on, Stephen, credit to Falkirk. Fantastic support they brought with them. I thought their number 11 basically got them the 2 goals. I thought he did a really good game. And I've got a wee funny feeling that they will be in the Premiership next season if they play like that. But also as well, guys, got to remember, yeah, we had a wee scare. We still had almost 70% possession in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but we'll get into more detail later about individual performances and so on.
No, I agree with what you're saying. I think we'll start with the first goal. You mentioned Faye coming in, Jed, at left back. And McGinty, I think we were all kind of excited to see what he can do. The highlights package we've seen of him on loan at Levante last season in the Spanish second division. I think in the pre-season, he started the friendly El Clasico against Real Madrid and provided 2 assists on the day, which looked promising, albeit from the right side. And Jed touched upon, I think it was their right-sided winger. I can't remember his name, but he was a physical presence. He was quick. And I think he gave him a really horrible time. And we welcome on to Palma. He played a huge part in that as well. There was no support there at all. But the first goal in particular, when I first was watching it, I was like, that's a foul all day. It looked like Faye done well to win the initial header. And then the big fella got in front of him, and it looked like he initiated a pullback. But when I watched it maybe 2 or 3 times, it was like, maybe this is the part of the game that the Faye needs to get used to in Scotland in terms of the physicality, the rough and tumble of it. And instead of protesting for a free kick applied to the whistle, the ball breaks out into like the edge of the box. Trusty didn't close it down. Their player, Ross McIver, I believe it was, first touch, bang. It was a good finish into the bottom right-hand corner, McGinty. And would you lay the blame totally at the Faye's door, or was there errors in multiple players in that instance?
I don't lay any blame for that first goal at Faye. I'm watching it back as you're speaking there about 4 or 5 times. It's completely not his fault. He's reading the ball fairly well, which having watched the highlights back a few times today as well, I know he's getting a lot of stick, and I think he deserves a fair bit of stick. But I don't think he takes all the blame for either of the goals. The second one, a little bit more. But that first one, he's tracking the ball, he's watching it, as it's a brilliant crossover from the Falkirk team. And again, all credit to Falkirk. They really were a good team to play against. They open up and they play expansive football themselves, and they can get the rewards for it. And if they're getting a couple of goals against us like this, then they'll do very, very well in the championship and hopefully come up. But that first goal, Faye is reading the ball, he's tracking it, and as it's coming over, he goes to turn, and he actually gets pulled in the turn, which kind of throws him off balance. And then it's 2 separate pulls on him, and they're not massive. They look soft, I get that. And I'm actually disappointed. I questioned if VAR was actually involved in that game, because that's...
So did I.
VAR should have looked at that, because even the more you actually keep watching it, it's as he's watching the ball coming over, he goes to turn into the player, and the player pulls him and turns him away, and then he grabs him 2 different times, which stops him from stepping out to close that ball down, which to give Trusty a little bit of leeway, because I was not impressed with him at all. He's probably thinking Faye's going to close that down, but Faye can't, because he's not got his balance. I mean, the touches aren't, he's not like bear hugging him. The touches aren't mad, crazy, aggressive or anything, but they're enough that when you're trying to turn on the spot and you're trying to find your feet, it's enough for him not to be able to get moving. And that does stop Faye from closing that ball down. It stops Trusty thinking that he should go for it as well. Miscommunication from everybody and kind of understanding things. And that's, for me, what is our defensive letdown there. Other than that, the strike from Falkirk was great. But I honestly, that first goal, I wouldn't lay much blame at Faye, if anything.
Yeah, and look, again, it's not me saying he was to blame, but I've seen a lot of people saying he should have been stronger. And I think me and you have different opinions. I think he should have been stronger in that. And look, don't get me wrong, there was an initial pull, but I think he had time to recover, Jed, and get in front of the player again and be a bit more physical. And look, that might be the side of the game. We've seen Nicholas Kuhn struggle with that when he first came in. This might be the side of the game that Alex Faye has to improve on. But what was your viewpoint on that? Should he have been stronger? Was it a free kick? Should VAR have intervened?
Well, I sat at that end of the ground, and straight away, I thought he pulled him back. Now, in looking back at it, you maybe Valley probably thought he was going to get a foul and didn't try to then go and get the ball. That was my initial thoughts. But he just seemed... I don't know if you, like I say, we're playing in Spain, getting a wee shove, wee pull like that. He expected the ref to blow the whistle. But I noticed a few times just in the game, players weren't playing. They stopped. They weren't playing. They should be playing foot to the whistle. I noticed that a couple of times yesterday. So that they need to. It's just basics. It's basics. They need to get that. Look, I'm not putting any blame on him. It's his first game. He's used to playing a certain style with Barcelona or Spanish football, and he's come into the rough and tumble with Scottish football. And look, nobody's going to hang him out to dry. Trustees will. The new guys won't get much criticism.
Yeah, it's a small. Obviously,
more experienced players will.
Yeah, 100%. It's a small sample size we have to go off. But yeah, I'm going to fire something at you, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I've seen it a wee bit. My granddad said it as well. If he's watching, he can say it on the comments. Should Kasper Schmeichel have done better for that first goal?
No, I think I was taken by surprise. I don't think he expected the guy to hit it from there. Had it just...
what about... Yeah, he did. It was a sweet connection, to be fair. It was a really good, low-driven strike. And what about you, McGinty? Do you think he should have done better?
I feel like you're teaming me up for the second goal here.
No, I'm not. I'm genuinely not.
No, I don't think he can. Again, the way the ball comes over, what happens with Vi, and I've seen it from another angle again, it's a definite foul of Vi. He's pulled twice, and then the Falkirk lad's arm is actually across his body, literally preventing him from getting by him. It's a clear foul. That should have been checked out. Absolutely no fault on anybody at this point. I'm just calling it a foul. But the shot itself, I don't think Kasper's expecting it. Probably with a lot of things going up, and it is a lot of power in it. It is drilled low. I mean, it's at his near post, and you want a keeper like him to always have that covered. He should have been, diving and stretching enough to cover that to the post, but they get through sometimes. No, I'm kind of trying to keep myself in check because I know come the second goal I'm going to blame Kasper and say that he should have done more.
Okay.
But for that one, no, I don't think you can blame Kasper. I don't think you can blame many, if any. Honestly, it's a foul. It should have been checked.
I do agree that there was some calls in that game where I thought VAR would have been in straight away, but again, it looked like we probably had the part-time version of it rather than the actual shit full-time one that we have in Scotland at the moment. But before we move on, Parley, what the hell? Paul McFarlane mentioned that we have been nominated for the Football Content Awards for Best Sports International Podcast, I believe. I only found this out before it came on when it checked our Twitter. And by the way, we are grateful and delighted for anyone who's voted for us. The link is in the comments. If you wanted to throw your support and behind it, that would be fantastic. Look, I probably won't win, but it's just great that you mentioned among other fantastic football and sporting podcasts as well. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate everyone who watches and supports the channel. But Jed, what about the equaliser? Alex Faye did get an assist for that. Rio Watate into the box, 5. We header back. Bernardo's finish. Incredible.
Yeah. Brilliant finish. I mean, the keeper, I know it was right at the keeper, but it just sticked as well. It was a fantastic finish. Keeper had no chance. It happened so quick. Great. Honestly, it was... I never thought, right, we can go, we can move on for here, but it didn't happen. But no, fantastic. Yeah. And also, you got to mind the Falkirk keeper made a really good save early on in the game from James Forrest. Diving to the keeper's right. So he did. But no, Bernardo, he would have a bit aggrieved it probably never started in a European game. So he had a wee point to prove, and I thought he proved it well.
Yeah, and again, I totally agree. And what I love about Bernardo as well, he actually comes in with maximum effort all the time. There's no air of being cocky or arrogant, McGinty. And like I was saying to Jed, that Alex Faye with a fantastic header down, the layoff, You have to credit him for that. That assist, it was fantastic. Bernardo, first time volley, and as Jay said, dipped over the keeper. I mean, what do you make about the Rio Tate stuff and Bernardo and who deserves to start? That's a common thing that we have in our group chat at the moment, and in terms of who's in better form. I think Bernardo's showing really good flashes, and he looks like he can be that consistent player that we thought he could be last season. He's grown into the Celtic shirt. We spent a good chunk of money on him. Where's he in the pecking order? Like Jed said, he would have felt aggrieved not starting the European tie. He was in form, and then because he was the one that Rodgers turned to last season in Europe, if we all cast our mind back to European ties, Paulo Bernardo didn't feature in the SPFL. He was in the Champions League teams. We were like, what's going on? That's the other way around. He's not in the Champions League team at the moment. Well, it was one game, obviously, and he features in the cup game and smashes a worldie into the back of the net.
It's a tough one between the pair of those, Hatate and Bernardo. But take the midfield three as a whole, plus Bernardo, and even now looking at Luke McCowan, who I wasn't all for, but he's clearly got something about him in the short time that we've seen him as well. But it's a good problem to have, to be having that debate of Hatate or Bernardo at this time, or even dropping Engels for Bernardo. Not that you'd want to be dropping an £11 million player too often, mind you. You pay that much, you want him to be playing every minute of every game if you can. But I always feel, and I'm going to go on a tangent and we tour down memory lane sort of thing, but I always feel that Hatate for the last 12 to 15 months, it's a lot of fans have kind of got some sort of subconscious hate towards him. And I know hate is a strong word, but if you remember this time last year, I think it's when he took his injury and he started going out. But everybody was saying throughout August last year that he's changed his agent. He's itching to get out. He made comments. He's made a few comments before that his ideal move is that he will go to the EPL or bigger league anyway. He's obviously, you can't blame players. They are here for a stepping stone to some degree, but he's never went out and chased that. But for some reason last year, people kept thinking, he's no playing, he's down tools, he's this, that, next thing. He's changed his agent, he's trying to wrangle for a move out, and then he got an injury in September last year, then signed a new contract like 2 weeks later. And he was out for the majority of last season. But every time he came back in, there's a point where I looked at, I think he played 8 or 9 games before he really was truly back for full fitness at the end of the season, and we'd won like the 7 of those 8 or 8 of the 9 games sort of thing, and he scored and assisted many times. So the stats proved that actually when he was playing, he was shit hot last season, and I think it shows still this season. And I think Ross corrected me, it was actually Willie in the group chat yesterday was saying that some of the passes that he makes, the forward overhead lofty passes that he makes going forward, such as for that first goal, is absolutely sublime when you actually watch it and see his left foot is actually pointing to the centre circle and he strikes the ball with his right foot to loft it over for Vai to knock it down. He's got no right to do that. If Luka Modric does that for Real Madrid, people are talking about that for weeks, about how sublime that pass is. But I think that it just seems to be something in the air with Celtic fans that we just seem to be wanting to jump on Hatate. And it doesn't help when it comes to a point now where we're having an honest discussion about should Bernardo have started midweek or Hatate. And I think Bernardo is on form. And I think it was kind of harsh that he lost his spot for the midweek game because he was really fucking good against them beforehand. But at the same time, it doesn't take anything away from Hatate because Hatate still comes in and does his job and does it really freaking well. So either which one of the two that starts, I'm happy. But for me, if I'm going to pick one of them, I think Bernardo is in good form. I think he deserved to have kept that spot midweek. I think he deserved to start yesterday. And I think Bernardo deserves to start next week as well. Does that mean we drop Hatate or Engels? Probably Hatate. But that's no big shake. That's actually a good thing.
Yeah, it comes back into the strength and depth that Rodgers wanted this whole time in his second time around. And now we seem to have that, Jed, in the midfield. And like McGinty was saying, I mean, Brian McGarry comes in as well. I've always thought Bernardo was made for our midfield. Hatate seems to have hit his limit. I don't know about that, but I think there's levels in Hatate, and it's just about consistency for him. But he hopes he's wrong. But it's Bernardo for him at the moment, like McGinty. And look, again, I understand what you're saying. I've seen a lot of comments online saying that, look, by the way, we'll have to admit, Rio Hatate was fantastic in the Champions League game. Do you know what I mean? And I think Sam France said it. He emptied his tank. And I think the whole midfield were a great collective, Engels and McGregor included. But you said it, Jed. Bernardo must have felt aggrieved not to be in that starting 11 because he's done nothing wrong. He's done well. He's come back into the team. He's bedded himself right back into that system again. And as I said, what I love about him, there's no errors, no graces. He's cheering from the sidelines. He's happy when he starts. But if I'm Bernardo, I'm like, I want to be in that team week in, week out. And there's only one player for me he can really target, and that's Rio Hatate. I think Engels is at the moment untouchable because of his transfer fee. I think Cal McGregor's always going to be in there when he's fit. And that one position is between Rio and Bernardo.
But Stephen, that's both Brisbane and Sam France said as well about Hatate. Hatate was fantastic on Wednesday night. McGregor wasn't great yesterday either. He was not. He was poor. Him and Hatate were poor. In the first half, Bernardo was our best midfielder. It's just unfortunate. If McGowan wasn't cup-tied, he would have probably been playing. Instead of Hatate, it would have been Bernardo, McGowan and McGregor yesterday. But he had to go. But I just feel at times Rio Hatate isn't consistent every game. He'll be outstanding one game, i.e. last Wednesday. And then as he maybe got this, this will be an easy game today, and only stays in third gear. But I know he's getting a lot of criticism, but I didn't think McGregor had his greatest game yesterday either.
Yeah, I don't either, but it's the topic that's being brought up time and time again about Bernardo and Hatate. Now, I think we know that Engels is, as McKenty said, his transfer fee alone. He has to be in.
Look, this time last weekend, it was probably split right down the middle with supporters who the midfield three should be.
Mm-hmm.
It was always Hatate and McGregor, and it was between Engels and Bernardo. Like I said earlier, the midfield that started yesterday, a lot of people are crying out for that to be starting last Wednesday. It's just unfortunate, as we know, that they can't perform at their best every game. But we just need to hope that when a player has dipped, someone else or the other players round about can take up back.
I do agree.
If a spider loses one of his legs, it will compensate and work with other legs he's got.
Don't be telling me that. I killed it. I tried to kill a spider the other night and only took one of its legs off and it scuttered away. I don't know where it is. So don't be telling me it grows back legs and all, Jed. I'll be moving out of the house.
Oh, it didn't grow back. It becomes strong to compensate the missing leg. So that's what you need to play be doing as well. When a player isn't playing to their best in that game, you're hoping the other players just take up the slack and the responsibility, and we don't really notice it. Unfortunately, we did notice it yesterday because we were getting beat we were getting beat at 1-0 and then 2-1. So the fans.
So who would you have then? I don't think you've answered it. Who would you have, Rio or Bernardo? It's starting at this precise moment in time.
Do you know? I think it's depends on the game we're playing. I'm not bothered who. I think the two of them are really good players. I was delighted Bernardo signed. Maybe at times I think maybe McGregor could do with a wee rest.
Yeah.
So as you say, Engels is nailed on, absolutely nailed on now to be playing. So you can rotate the other two positions with the three players, and then we're not even are the four players if you count McGowan.
Yeah, again, it was a shame that Luke McCowan was cup tied as well. I think, like you said, I think he would have probably started the game. But McGinty, second goal. I feel like you have a wee bit to say on this. I mean, I'll give a brief summary of it from what I can remember. Again, a breakdown their right hand side. The big fella, their winger, got the better of VA again. He hit the deck, crossover, Missed the centre back's back post, and their player just came in and finished it, headed back across the keeper. I thought, in my opinion, that it was a great header. I thought that's exactly where a header like that should be placed. I don't know the argument that you're going to give here for maybe Schmeichel or I would say Tony Ralston and Alex Valle were at fault for this goal because of the inept they showed at defending. I don't think Casper had a chance for me, McGinty, but I feel like you have maybe a different opinion.
Aye.
Let's hear it.
Valle goes down a bit too easy, a bit too soft. There's a replay. If you watch the highlights of it on Premier Sports, there's a replay. I think it's the last one they show of it, and it's about as close in of the Valle kind of getting slapped in the face, and there is a contact. It's one of those ones where the player's running and his arm just hits. I wouldn't want that given as a foul against us because there's no intent, there's no malice, there's nothing in it. I think he probably went down a bit too soft, but he's also been beat anyway, so I don't think Vai's going to catch him to stop that cross coming in. So lay some blame at Vai for that one, be it how you want to paint that one up. But for me, the guy gets the cross in. Then was it Ralston and Welsh? I kind of caught just watching. I think Trusty stands off him before the cross comes in too much. When he realises he's low on there, he should have closed it down. The ball comes in and it's Welsh and Ralston look like they're just both standing, both with two Falkirk players in front of them, but not actually getting close to either of them. But it's the header for me. The position of the player when he takes the header, he's actually in line with the near post to our side as we're watching it, and he heads it down, and it's not a bulleted header. It's quite a slow-paced move on the ball, and it's got time to bounce just in the 6-yard box and then reach to the far post. Casper's about halfway into his going on his line between the two sticks. For me, I can see the argument that he's coming from left to right. His feet are not going in the right direction, but I think there's enough time for him to switch his weight and at least make the dive for the ball. And he doesn't. Has he made a decision that he knows that he's already beat? So why bother? Perhaps, because it's far into that corner of the net. But I think Casper could have done a lot more to at least attempt to get that, because I think he had the time. Honestly, if it was a bulleted header down to the ground and it whizzed into the net, fair enough. It went fast, but it didn't. It was quite a slow kind of, everybody's watching it and going, here we go. It was, yeah, there wasn't enough pace in that for the keeper to make an effort for me.
It was near enough half time, wasn't it, as well? But
pretty much on the stroke,
Yeah, pretty much on the stroke of half time, which was a wee bit of a gut wrenching one, obviously, when you're having your half time cup of tea. But I think, again, for me, I don't know what you're expecting Casper to do there, unless he's prime, I don't know, give me a Bruce Lee and can shift his weight in 0.2 seconds. It might not look quick on the cameras, but I can fully expect when it hits off the ground that at Celtic Park it does fizz into the back of the net in terms of the speed of that goal trajectory. And Jed, again, maybe me and McGranda thought that Casper Schmeichel could have done better with the first goal we conceded, bottom left corner. But do you put much weight at his door for this one, or is it purely defensive errors that caused this goal?
Right.
Can I just say before Jed answers that, just to cover my own arse a little bit, I don't blame Casper for the goal. Defensively, that was shit before it got to Casper. I just think that Casper could have done more. But defensively, we should not have let that cross come in. Defensively, we should have been closer to the guy before he hits the ball anyway. The shot should never have happened. But I do think Casper could have done a bit more. Or at least looked like he'd done more.
Totally disagree. Right. Let's two things. Disagree with that. Where I stand in the Jockstein upper, I had a great view of the header. As soon as he headed it, I knew it was in the goals. I thought it was a fan. Let's give credit to Falkirk. The guy picked that up, picked him out perfectly, and he just headed it straight back in the direction he was facing. Schmeichel had no chance. Honestly, I thought maybe we shouldn't have got the cross in, granted, but he picked his player out brilliantly, and by the way, if that was us that scored that header, we'd have been saying, what a header. He placed it. So credit where it's due. Schmeichel couldn't get near it. It was in the net before you realised.
Yeah, that's where my kind of thinking of that is, and we'll move on to the second half. Jen, I'll start.
No, I agree to disagree.
Yes.
I'll start with yourself. I mean, again, I think Falkirk maybe had a few opportunities again, just straight after the halftime whistle. I think we did as well. But it really kicked in when we had to bring the cavalry back on. Nicholas Kuhn, Greg Taylor come on and made a difference. Yang come on and made a difference. Who was the fourth sub? I'm missing the fourth sub. Engels, that's who it was. And obviously the players, Forrest, Valle, and whoever else come off. I'm not going to rhyme though. You know who it was.
Palma.
But Palma. Well, come on to Palma, by the way. There's a lot of discussion about Palma in the comments tonight. I'm not ignoring that. I want to
say as well, Stephen. I'm agreeing with a lot of the points you're putting up. Sam Fran, I thought it's made a lot of really good points. Brisbane's really, to be honest, there's loads of really good points. I don't disagree with any of them. It's only Anthony I disagree.
Apart from McGinty. But yes, so we find ourselves level at 2 each. I think it was a Nicholas Kuhn assist, wasn't it, from the left-hand side? He was played in. I can't remember who played the ball into him. It might have been, who was it, Ralston? I don't know who it was, but it was played into him in the box, and he turned around and played that fizzing ball across the 6-yard line. And Alameda came alive and put it in the back of that, where every striker should be, always told to stay in around the penalty box, you'll get your opportunities, and the big Irishman delivered. And I thought, to be fair, he was a shell of himself in the first half, and maybe that was down to the lack of quality and lack of service he was getting. But see, once he had Kuhn on the pitch and Yang on the pitch, something switched in his mind, and he turned into an absolute beast, and especially his second goal, which we'll come on to. But the impact that Kuhn made for the first initial 2 minutes he was on, and then Alameda, Jed, for that equalising goal.
Yeah, but listen, as I said at the game yesterday to the boys that sit next to my daughter, it's not rocket science. If you move the ball quicker, we'll win games. We were very, very stale. And now I'm not blaming like I'm blaming Palma for other things, but McGregor and etc. They just didn't move the ball quick enough. They do it in training every day. They all fit into a system. It was crying out, just move the ball quicker. And when they done that, Falkirk couldn't cope. So it was a bit. Ida was in the right place at the right time. Great cross, and then bang, first goal. And then typical, they had a VAR decision in Falkirk's header to go 2-1 up. It took about 15 seconds to decide it was a goal. How long did it take for them to decide the first equaliser was a goal? It's either onside or offside. It's not difficult. Just look, and you can clearly see the camera angle shows that actually Kuhn is in front of Ida. And he plays the ball across. Doesn't matter if he's in front of the defender. He was basically passing the ball back.
Yep.
So that really pissed me off. The fact that they took ages again to make. They were looking, to me, how can we get this goal chopped off?
Yeah, that's what they seem to do to me all the time. It's like even when you're playing a league game and you score a goal at Celtic Park, there's always like a 2 to 3 minute delay for them to attack something that's nothing's even happened in the build-up. And I thought that, like what you said, you could clearly see in the first camera angle that ball was coming round and it was in front of Alameda before he struck it. And it's madness that we can see that as a viewer. And like Jed said, it takes an eternity. It kind of draws the air back out of Celtic Park again. The air quickly comes back into it, obviously, with the upcoming events. But again, do you think Alameda's going to arrive now? People were a wee bit of murmurings about his early season performances. I know it's against Falkirk, but he done the job against Slovan Bratislava as well. And you have to play what's in front of you. I mean, that's 3 goals in his last 2 games, if you take that into account, which is a good return. And hopefully that can get his confidence going in the Celtic shirt, McGinty.
100%. Strikers thrive on goals. We all talk about it when you get a new striker in at the start of the new season. You're waiting for your striker to get that first goal, and the hope is that just snowballs it into the next 2, 3, 4, 5 games and whatnot. But he's I think it was Jamie put it up. Ida's admitted himself he's no match fit, and he blames Norwich for that. I blame both of them, to be honest. And I don't want to be too harsh because I know I come across as if I wouldn't want Ida to sign, but I did want him to sign. I'm okay with him saying I just don't think that he's worth the money that we. Sorry, not worth it, but I don't think we. I think we got rinsed by Norwich for the price tag, but I still think he's a tidy player to come in. Let's not talk about that anymore. He spent that summer not being match sharp. He was still picked for Norwich in friendly games, to be fair. Did Norwich purposely fuck him over to make him not fit? I don't know. But if you're a professional footballer and you want your big move to Celtic and whatnot, you surely still keep yourself in as best shape as you possibly can. Now, there's only so much shape you can keep yourself in if you're not actually playing match games and all the rest of it, but to me, it's on the pair of them, Norwich and Ida, to have that sorted. But at the same time, it's nothing to do with us in the sense of our blame for his lack of match fitness. But he's here now, and as you said, Stephen, he's scored in the last 2 games. He's now getting rolling again. And see if he keeps scoring like this, even though I would say up until his goal, he didn't do enough in the game for me as a leading striker. I don't think he imposed himself enough. Sorry?
He was getting no service.
Well, there's that and all. But I think once he gets his goals, he does start to impose himself. You look at especially his second goal, he's shown his strength a lot more, and he's staying on his feet, he's riding the tackles, and he's driving forward. And that's the Ida you love to see. That's the Ida that we saw against Kilmarnock near the end of the season. And if we keep seeing more of that, then he's gonna be electric at times. He's not the fancy striker that we all want to see, but he actually has some good technique. I'm stealing your thunder a wee bit, Stephen, just by jumping ahead to another goal. I think it was Kuhn's second goal. If nobody's watched a bit closely, watch his footwork, Adam Ida's footwork. 2 different little incidents he makes, and it's absolutely insane that Adam Ida has done it, because he doesn't come across as a guy who has fancy footwork, but there he is, 2 separate little incidents, and he lays off to Kuhn. Fantastic.
Yes.
But yeah, as far as that first goal, he's onside. I think it's closer than what Jed gives it credit for. I've got it paused just now as best as I can. It is quite close. It definitely needed VAR to look at it to be sure, but it didn't need to take as long as it did. I got that quickly just while Jed was talking. It didn't need for the experts in the VAR room to have taken as long as they did.
Yeah.
Experts lightly.
What you said about Ida, I said on here at the beginning of the season, I felt Ida looked a little bit overweight. I mean, pot kettle black here for me, but I did. And I've noticed the last couple of games, it looked as though he's trimmed down a wee bit. So I don't know, did he down tools a wee bit in Norwich to get his move here? We don't know. But he's certainly looking better. And like you just said, that second goal, his finish was fantastic.
Yeah.
And coming on to that second goal, go ahead.
See when that second goal went in from Ida to make it 3-2, the noise. And again, I honestly thought there were about 55,000 at that game yesterday. And I seen today potentially 42. I'm telling you right now, there were not 18,000 spare seats at that game yesterday. That was a fantastic turnout yesterday.
Yeah.
But that was 50,000 easy.
That's to claim that a third of the stadium was empty. There's no chance.
Honestly,
no chance.
Even going to the game, walking to the stadium, the crowds that were going, and I said to my daughter, "It's going to be a big crowd today," and I was delighted. Honestly, I thought 55,000 easy yesterday.
Yeah, I looked at it on the tape.
Yeah, you've got to bear in mind, including myself, I've already bailed out money for the Wednesday night game, and I'm paying money then for the Sunday game.
Yeah.
And thousands of fans like me has done that. So, you know.
It looked full on the TV cameras to me. Well, obviously, you see we sporadic empty seats, but that's to be expected. But the crowd was quality. And coming on to the second goal, and Sam Fran said something, I'm actually so glad someone said it. His touch for that second goal, McGinty, to take it past them 2 defenders and leave them for dust was incredible. And what was annoying me all game with Alameda, every time he was plucking the ball out of the air, he was bringing the touch in towards himself instead of releasing it away from himself like a Kyogo would do and run onto the ball with pace. He was kind of, I don't know, kind of sabotaging his own self there, kind of not taking that touch properly and moving forward quickly. Maybe that was an issue in the first half, but he definitely rectified it, McGinty, for the second goal. I thought his touch, his turn, getting in between the two centre halves, one of them failed because of his strength, and the finish was quick. That was sipped underneath the goalkeeper, and he had no chance. And that was a goal on confidence. And Jed, like Jed said, McGinty, the celebrations was like the Slovan Bratislava game when you hear it.
Yeah, it's an absolute fantastic goal. I feel like I'm about to take something away from him. I think better defenders wouldn't have let him get away with that touch, but it's a great touch because he turns himself into it. He lets his foot kind of almost kill the pace on it, so it's the exact pace that he needs to then run through right the challenge of the second defender, and as you say, zips it under the keeper. It's an absolutely brilliant move from Ida. Can't take much away from him from that. If he's going to pull up and, as you said earlier, get in and around the penalty spot, you're going to get your goals. He's coming from outside the box then to drive him, but he's around about the penalty spot when he's taking that shot. That's what you want your strikers to do. If he keeps doing this, honestly, he could. What is he? 3 goals he's on so far. If he hits 20, and we're only September, so if he hits 3,
and one chopped off, still mind.
I mean, what we got? October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Hits 3 every month. 20 odd goals. I'll take that.
Yeah, good return. And Jed, I think this is the pace and power. I mean, Brian Morier bring this comment up. I thought it was interesting. He said that Ida is now putting serious pressure on Kyogo. This has a bit of the Dembele/Griffith scenario about it. Kyogo needs to start up in his game. In my opinion, Ida is Brendan signing like Musa Dembele. Would you agree with that, Jed?
Yeah, I mean, Kyogo's still getting himself into the positions. I mean, look at the game against Bratislava. It could easily have had 2 goals in the first half against them. Any other time, I'd have probably put them away. I'm not overly concerned about Kyogo yet, but it's nice if Ida can put that wee bit of pressure on him. But I think they will rotate because it'll be who we play in a certain opposition where Kyogo is better to start and other games where Ida's better to start. And we will see that this season.
Yeah. A bit like when Giakoumakis was here as well, wasn't it? That you kind of knew when to throw him in and he could score the goals. He was always a one-touch finisher, to be fair. But
and to everybody there, I know it's early doors, well, he was here last season. Is Ida better than Giakoumakis?
No.
People.
What did you say, McGinty?
No. Is Ida better than Giakoumakis? Not for me. I think he could be, but I don't think he is just yet.
But I would say for that, I would say natural instinctive finisher, Giakoumakis all day long, but an all-round footballer, Alameda. I think Alameda ticks a lot of boxes that maybe Giakoumakis didn't have in terms of being able to hold it up, touch, bit of pace and power. Giakoumakis showed it in fits and starts, but he was a penalty box striker, and I thought when you took him out of that area, he didn't really offer much in terms of pressing and things of that nature, where I think Alameda could fit into the structure more. And technical ways, I think he's probably a bit better, but instinctive goal scorer for me would always be GG at the minute. Obviously, if Ida's scoring ratio improves, then you can't really argue that. I think Alameda is a good all-round striker in terms of technique and pace and power, athleticism and all that. But we'll quickly move on again to the fourth goal. Let's talk about that ball from Engels. Breaks the line for Kuhn. Kuhn runs onto it. Give me some chips, mate. Just loft it over the keeper. Nicholas Kuhn's having fun, isn't he? Engels with a lovely assist, and Kuhn has took his game to another level. He is incredible at the minute.
Look at what up to this point, fourth goal, right? Look what he's been involved in. He's been on the left-hand side, used his left foot to lay it on a plate on the 6-yard line for Adam Ida. He's used his right foot on the right side to lay it into Adam Ida for the second goal, to push through the 2 defenders. He's then come right through the middle with a lovely ball through from Engels. So that's Engels, Hatate, and Bernardo and McGregor who can all play those superb through balls like that. And Kuhn's latching onto that, running forward, one-on-one with the keeper almost is. I'm not getting ahead of myself here, boys. Don't worry. But almost reminiscent of the Henrik Larsson goal against Kloss. Just that way where you can see the run happening. You can see starting to shift the shape of his body. There it is. And the chip comes in. It's kind of, you're just watching it and waiting for it. It's not the exact same. It isn't, but there's just elements of it. You're like, this feels a bit familiar. Kind of like when Messi scored that same goal as Maradona done, running down from the right side, cuts in. There's similarities where you're like, I've seen this before and I don't like what I'm seeing here. But Kuhn is Kuhn's making me eat my worse from last year because I thought he was absolutely honking for the first 2 months last year. But he started this season absolutely on fire. And as I was saying there, he can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can come right through the middle, he can pop up all over the place. He made such a fucking difference yesterday. I don't believe for a minute that Kuhn is deceptively quick for some reason. And I heard this.
Kuhn is quick. Kuhn is quick.
But I think it's during the game yesterday one of the commentators made that comment as well, that like he's recorded as the fastest player at Celtic. I'm like, nah, you don't. And I just can't accept that. I don't know. I think the term there, deceptively quick, is probably apt because I look at him and I don't think he looks that quick, but he is. So, he's nuts. I
mean, you also looked at Kasper Schmeichel hanging on to the right side of the post and thought he should have dived to the left quickly. So, I don't know. It's fine. It's fine, McGinty.
I have expectations. Come on.
I know, really, really, really high ones. But no, look, again, I think Nicholas Kuhn, I think he's so quick. I think like if you have a front three of Kuhn, Kyogo, imagine Kuhn, Kyogo, Mieta pressing you. You would poo your pants. You wouldn't know. You literally wouldn't know what to do or where to turn to. I get what you mean. Again, he's not like breakneck speed the way Dyson would be closing people down and that's different types of speed. That's defensive athleticism, defensive speed. Where I think Kuhn's quicker with the ball. Do you get me? Off the ball, maybe Kuhn doesn't look quick.
Okay.
But when Kuhn has the ball, he's nice close touches to the feet, and it's really hard to get the ball off him. But Jed, I mean, what do you say about that fourth goal? I thought it was look. In the comments, by the way, no one is comparing Kuhn to Larsson at all. I've seen that a lot of people saying, "Calm down." What we're talking about is just merely the chip. It just reminds you of the King of Kings and Nicholas Kuhn. Brought that back. He had so much time, by the way, where he could have messed up his own mind and went, what do I actually do when I get to the net? And he was so composed, so under pressure. Jed, talk to me. Kuhn at the he's incredible.
As Anthony and yourselves already said, the pass from Angel just split the defence wide open. And Kuhn still had a lot to do. And like I say, when I'm watching it just seemed to take eternity for the ball to go over. But it was a fantastic finish. And the biggest compliment I could give that guy just now, and I'm going to touch wood when I say this, if he gets injured, we'd all be worried. He has been phenomenal this season. And he's certainly, not just yourself, Anthony, he's put a lot of people's gas at a peak with his performances. And Rodgers did say last season he's not been fit, he's been losing weight, he's lost weight, and it's like a new signing. It's like a brand new signing we've got this season. And
it's mad. It's mad how much dental problems can affect him again, isn't it? And Jed threw something at us, and I'm going to throw something at you first, McGinty, and then you, Jed, right? I said this in pre-season. I don't know if you can remember. I'm going to say it again because I might be right, and I'm going to run with it until I'm wrong. Do we believe if Kuhn keeps this performance level up, that he would have a much more impactful time at Celtic than forget the exit, forget all the drama, than a much more impactful time at Celtic than Leo Abada. We all loved Abada at one time. Let's not forget that. He was a fantastic player in his own right. But would you have Kuhn over him, McGinty?
Yeah. Now, I was probably Abada's biggest fan, and I still am. I think I think he got a hard time from some fans as well because they just didn't appreciate what he was really good at because he had some flaws, which I think he was starting to work on before he was injured as well. Then obviously how he exited. Abada coming through, the press that he can put on, the speed, the cutting in and the shot that he had was fantastic. But there's elements of what Kuhn has now is he's got that Paddy Roberts low centre of gravity kind of skill footwork that can cut in. So he's got the Paddy Roberts, the Jimmy Forrest kind of winger skill, but he's also got that drive to go forward and take the shot on that Abada would have as well. So he's the best of both worlds. And I mean, we all said it during the second half last season. At some point in time, you know, Nicholas Kuhn came through, was it Bayern Munich and Ajax youth academies, and both of them went, nah, no for us, mate, and released him or sold him on, sort of thing. And people were screaming about that, thinking, oh, he's came through these two academies, but not stopping to realise, hold up a minute, if he's came through the academies, but neither of those two clubs have deemed him good enough, what does that really say about you? Turns out I'm wrong again in that respect, so what do I know? But if he's playing like this just now, and he still can get better, especially under a guy like Brendan Rodgers, the guy's going to be fantastic. Questions need to be asked at some point. You know, what were these other clubs doing to not get this out of Nicholas Kuhn? Because he seems an unbelievable talent at present.
Well, if you look at it as well, if you look at his journey, obviously Ajax and Bayern Munich, I mean, that's, again, we can't disrespect these clubs. These are world-class clubs. But what kind of, you talk about Brendan Rodgers for me, Jed, and there's that elite manager phrase that's chucked around and how he improves players, but his track record really does show that. What I would say maybe happened with Nicholas Kuhn in the academies of these different clubs is maybe he wasn't quite reacting to the coach of the under-23s or the under-19s. He wasn't reacting to that. But when he got his move to a senior club, Rapid Vienna, he reacted to the first team environment and he played really well. He was at the top of the Austrian league for assists and things of that nature. He came to us and it was unfortunate he had the first year that he did because of problems we didn't know. And Rodgers has worked with him in pre-season. He's got his ideas across. And the tracking back has really come into his game. The doubling up on attackers when his fullback needs help, he's improved in that as well. Not all about the attacking side that Rodgers always speaks about in terms of a unit. And Paul McFarlane, like Kuhn, is like a world-class Paddy Roberts. Maybe a far saying world-class, but I get what he means. It's a massive upgrade on Abada. I think Rodgers, Brendan, has a lot to play in his improvement as a player. Would you not say?
Yeah, but listen, no matter what club, there are always players that's been at other clubs who don't do well, whether it be the youth set up. We've had our own club where Celtic have let go and they went on to be Andy Robertson, for example. We let him go when he was a kid. Did we let, who was a young boy? We had Hickey, didn't we? And then we had Hart. And also, we've all got, it just could be not in the right place at the right time. And he's came and he just needed, maybe Rodgers has just put that wee arm around him, give him the confidence, like, you're a player. It could be something simple like that. And he's loving it. He's playing in an environment now where us as fans love him. He's not getting any stick if he makes a mistake where other players are, and one in particular. So that's got to help him as well. That has got to help him.
Yeah.
Look, what did we pay? Was it $3.5 million for him?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Now, we'll need to see how he does in the rest of the European campaign. If he continues the way he's going, and I'm just saying, if he does, that could be our next massive asset that's going to be sold. If it continues to progress the way he's going. So, because someone's going to come in, and if he especially does well in Europe and say, I'm going to come in and take him. And we're a selling club, as we all know. And he'll be brought in with that premise as well. Look, do well for us. And if someone comes in from the English Premiership or whatever, you can move on in our blessing. And that's how we can sign these players. And we can't hold people back, because then we could then struggle to bring players. Players have got to say, we've been honest. They can then say, look, Matt O'Reilly came in, they came in, whatever, and they have let them go. Let them spend a couple of years with us. But things are looking good now, and let's keep our fingers crossed. He has a very good European campaign.
I think he will. I think he'll do well in European football. I think that's, even more suited to our playing style in terms of being able to counter attack and press and get up the pitch quickly, because the European teams aren't going to set off us. So that's a good thing. Do you know what I mean? But McGinty, the fifth goal that you spoke about earlier on, Alamida's footwork, very carbon copy in terms of the finish from Falkirk's first goal. Nicholas Kuhn, bang, bottom corner, finishes off was it 1 assist and 2 goals for him? It's, I know we'll wax lyrical about him there, but again, he finished off the game with a cracking goal.
No, it's 2 assists. He assisted Dad and Mida twice.
2 assists, yeah.
Adamida's footwork is unreal. To the way that he stops the ball for himself, and then he does a mad step on backwards kind of heel pass to Kuhn for that. So was it Kuhn or was it McGregor first? McGregor, then it comes through to Kuhn as it falls back. The strike from Kuhn again, first time hit, left foot, low driven into that near corner. Again, like we were saying earlier about the Casper Schmeichel, do you lay blame? No, really. You would love for your keeper not to beat at that corner but when the shot is low and driven like that, and it's coming through bodies, it's obscured. It's a hard one to blame a keeper. You would like them to do better, but it's a hard one to blame a keeper for that. Again, we've just waxed lyrical, but I'm going to say it again. This is a right-sided winger who has a good right foot, but he's actually using his left foot quite often, and it's unreal. Go back to his first goal as well. He controls the ball from angles with his right foot, dribbles with his right foot, dribbles with his left foot, then takes the shot with his left foot. The guy, I'm not going to say he's gifted like Nakamura.
Larson, Nakamura, anyone else?
Lugo, but he's got 2 feet that can work wonders. A lot of managers, especially Brendan, likes players who can cut in from one side and use the other foot and whatnot. But this guy can come from both sides. If he keeps this up, like Jay said, especially in European competitions, this is a guy who could be the next big asset. I hope he's not going to be the next big asset, because I hope we keep him as a big asset. But this is a guy who's got everything in his locker. If he can keep the consistent up and keep his fitness there, he's a player.
Can I ask guys as well? See, yesterday at the stadium, Kuhn got man of the match. Who got man of the match in Premier Sports?
Kuhn.
I think it was Kuhn as well.
Yeah, because at the stadium he got man of the match.
He had to. He had to get man of the match for his impact. But that kind of rounds up the goals. Yeah, there's one player in particular I want to chat about. However long this might take, I don't know. Maybe briefly, maybe long. We'll see. But it's been in the comments a lot, and we'll speak about him. Louis Palma. I don't know what's happened. I have to admit, when I first saw him last season when he came in, I very early predicted that I didn't think he would be make a great Celtic player, albeit his stats at the time were decent. The eye test told me that he was absolutely woeful. And again, it seems to me he's actually regressed even further than where he was last season, which is a bit mad in my opinion. And in a brief 30-minute cameo, Yang, who was below him, has managed to get above him in the pecking order just by taking a man on and hitting the box and playing a ball through. That's all he needed to do to make an impact in the game. Palma didn't do it at all. He didn't track back. He didn't look interested. Every touch he was taking was going away from him, going out for throw-ins. His passes weren't connecting. What's going on with him, Jeff?
Honestly, I actually feel sorry for him a bit as well, because I do feel he's playing with maybe lead boots on the now, because he's got no confidence. The fans are on his back as soon as he makes a mistake. and that must be horrendous to try and play in that environment. But as you hit the nail on the head there, Stephen, when Jan came and done more, never mind the 20 minutes, in the first 5 minutes when he came on, he is not willing to go past. He cuts inside all the time. He is very, very predictable, easy to defend against. The only way you can get it if you can get a ball in quick. But I do feel sorry for him because he is so far down the pecking order now. You know, that's 4 players in front of him now. And the only way I can see him getting back in is if there are injuries. Don't be surprised if he's away even in loan in January.
And I think as well, I think Rodgers handed him an opportunity on a plate. Now he didn't need to go and perform wonders and score 2 or 3 goals, but just be a threat within the game, McGinty. Be productive, show something, connect the pass, get balls into the box, try and beat your opponent. But he never done it once. And we talked about Alex Valle at the start. I feel sorry for him because he was exposed time and time again. Palma did not track back one time to help him out with that winger that the Falkirk had. He was torturing Alex Valle at times, and Palma didn't even think, I'll go back and help the fellow out and we'll get a bit of defensive and work going together. It didn't happen. In the comments tonight, I think people are kind of giving up the ghost on Palma from what I can tell.
But we got to mention, I said that earlier, it would have been good if Valle could have played with Dice and Maeda in front of him to give him that wee bit of protection. He had no protection whatsoever. So he did. But I do want to say again, I do feel sorry for Palma because the fans are not having him now.
He's quickly became the whipping boy, and every team kind of doesn't need one, but every team gets one. But period, there's the hit and miss. Is it going to be Scales or not? But I think it's harsh on Scales because Scales is a solid player. We could definitely do with an upgrade in there. Thrusty may or may not be that upgrade that we require, but when it comes to Palmer, he has quickly became the whipping boy because he's not good enough, but because of his inability at times to actually do the right thing. He's his own worst enemy at times. Because I've seen Palmer, he's got the ability, he's got the skills to be a great player. But he's just, for whatever reason, he's short of confidence. Maybe his heat's no in the game. You know, I'm reminded of FM Juarez, the party going Mexican. I think we've all heard the stories. I'm not saying that Palmer's involved in misdemeanors and all the naughty stuff behind the scenes, but maybe he's just a bit too eccentric that he's not focused on the game at times. I don't know. I'm making excuses when I don't need to. I have to agree with the assessment on Valle, and this is where it comes to that old, it was too many changes at one time because Valle's been hung out to dry at times. If Maeda's on, Maeda's tracking back all day long and helping Valle out. And I think Valle looks a much better player if he does that. If you watch what Valle's doing at times, he can read the game. He can read the flight of the ball. He was getting himself into good defensive positions, but he's not able to do too much because there wasn't much help because in front of you is Palmer doing nothing, and beside you is Trusty, who's lining the place himself, and next to him on the other side was Stephen Welsh, and we can all agree Stephen Welsh isn't good enough. So for me, the two of those new defenders, they kind of get a bye for yesterday.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can use your eye test, as you said, Stephen, earlier, and you can see, is there a player there or no? And I think the jury is definitely still out for those two. But when we take it back to Palmer, I think the guy is on his last legs. He needs to buck this up quickly, or else he will be shown the door at some point because that just wasn't good enough yesterday, and that wasn't a one-off, unfortunately. I liked him last season. I thought his stats were great last season. I think he got a hard time at times. I'm obviously going to be singing a different tune now, but I think he got caught up in this thing that we did with Scott Sinclair, and eventually we did with Abad as well, where his numbers were fantastic, and what he does do good was good, but he obviously does have some flaws. And people latched onto that far too much. We all like the negative. We all like to jump on a bad point and just reiterate it. I do it myself. I'll admit it happily. But Palma's doing himself no favours right now. Absolutely no favours.
Yeah.
And for me, Maeda starts all the time. He helps Valle out. But if Maeda can't start or if Maeda needs a rest, I think there's nothing wrong to say Yang start on the left side. Because you saw what he did with the first 2 minutes. Now, Kuhn changed the game. Kuhn deserved man of the match. But there's a little debate and a little bit of argument to say that ball that Yang got on the left side, when he starts to drive into the centre, he ball bobbles back into him. He now gets onto the right side of the D, and he takes that wicked shot straight down the throat of the keeper, mind you. But he sparks the energy a little bit, and he brings something to the team. And the whole team decides at that point, yeah, we need to go here. We need to thrash this through. And from there on, it's unbelievable. If Yang can keep that up, Yang can find a place for himself in this team still. Just one last thing as we talk about, I want to move away from Palma a wee bit, just talk about Yang. I said in the group chat, was it today or yesterday? I think some players have these kind of make or break moments. And for me, Mikey Johnson, for all the years he was at the club, and he was always kind of injured and a couple of games here, and he looked like he was going to come onto something, gets injured, and he's fallen back out. But for me, I think Mikey Johnston, that was it Command we were playing, and he was struggling. He tried to play through an injury, and he injured himself even further. And then there's a whole fuck off thing to him. Mm-hmm. I think that crushed Mikey Johnson. He's now out for a long time injury, and his confidence just sinks. And from there on out, there's no way back for Mikey Johnson. He's lost it. But he goes down south and he has a blinder of 6 months, and he gets his move now. And I think that was a breaking point for Mikey Johnson at Celtic, and that's harsh and that's unfair. But I think a similar thing could have happened with Yang with that red card against Hearts, which I think was a wrong decision to be a red card. But leading up to that, he was on a good run of 3 or 4 games and looking really tidy and looked like he was going to keep Kuhn, of all players, out of the team last season. And I think that's a break point for Yang, because he never looked the same once he came back from his suspension. But he's got an opportunity now where he could start to edge his way back in, because Palma's fallen out. So there's a space there for Yang to play second fiddle to Maeda on the left side if he wants, because right now we're playing Kuhn and Force on the right, and I wouldn't change that for the world right now. But there's space for Yang.
Yeah,
but Anthony,
I agree.
I'm glad you brought up about Yang, because I was going to say that. I thought he was fantastic until he gets sent off against Hearts. But guys, look, I've been thinking about this for a few days now, and then it just came after the game yesterday as well. How many South American players have we signed that's actually been a success? With 2 playing yesterday. Now we've got to give the young boy for Barcelona a bit of time. He's
Spanish, is he not? Is that like Spain? Spanish?
Oh, maybe it is. Right, but okay. I'm still going down the South American route. Gary to me is the one that stand out. The other ones, even Janino, when he came all the years ago, didn't really do much for us. We just don't seem to do well in that sort of market for some reason. Is it because they're party boys? I don't know. But we just don't seem to do well when we get players from South America.
What I would say for that as well, like it's mad how the world works. Bernabé's went on loan to a club in Brazil. I think it's International. It's International. I think it's something like that. Anyway, the name of the club. He's playing every game. Every report I see, he's a 7 or 8 out of 10, and he's getting man of the matches. Sometimes, like you said, Jed, coming from that side of the world, 2 different cultures, isn't it? I always hear that on podcasts. There's a podcast recently I was watching, and I can't remember if it was Open Goal or not, but there was a player on it. Who was it? I can't remember the player, right? But he said he went on loan to a particular club overseas. And it was, it might have been McGeady's. It was McGeady when he went to Spartak Moscow. And he was talking about the influence of Brazilians and Argentinians in the squad. And he was saying on the pitch, they used to do this, that there, right? But that meant drink. So on the pitch, his teammates from Brazil and Argentina would be going to him, drink after the game. So they're thinking about alcohol like during the game. So look, I'm not saying, by the way, 100% that it's obviously not all South Americans drink and not all South American footballers drink, but it must be a massive influence on their football and the culture and stuff that they like a wee bevy after the match or before a game. I mean, the English players and stuff, Scottish players done that right up until the 2010s, having drinking clubs and things of that nature. So it could be a multitude of things and different cultures. Dave, I don't know. Like, what do you think it could be? Do you think it is the culture aspect of things? Do you think it's just maybe we're not scouting the players correctly, or just everything?
I honestly don't. I just asked the question. If you look historically, we don't seem to do well with South American players. Go way back to Rafael Scheidt that came in, £5 million. I think he played one game for us. But I don't know. It's just a market. We don't do well. I'd rather we go to Scandinavia and look at players as well.
Yeah,
and I said at the beginning, I said before we signed players as well, I don't know if you remember back, I said, whatever goalie we bring in as well, we need to have a player that can speak English. All the players we have brought in this season all speak very good English.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, I suppose, doesn't it?
So
but then people are...
With the South Americans coming over, they don't speak English.
But then again, that goes down football's universal language, doesn't it? I don't know where it could fall. I've heard managers say that before. The football speaks for itself. But Jed, I know we've done a rabbit hole there. McGinty's smiling to himself. But Jed, what's your thoughts?
I'm just thinking that's a good impersonation of Steve Clark that Jed is doing there.
What's that?
That's a good Steve Clark impersonation there.
What's your thoughts, Jed, on the Scottish Cup, League Cup draw? Sorry, not Scottish Cup. The semi-final against Aberdeen.
I could bring my daughter in now. She would agree. I said as soon as we finished the game yesterday, we were going to get Aberdeen.
Yeah, 100%. I thought that too.
Listen, it is what it is. Let's be honest. Every team didn't want us. Every team didn't want us. Look, we play Aberdeen in, I believe, October at home before they play them. So we'll get a better guide after we see Aberdeen at home. Because they're in the high, they've got that. The boy's been banging in the goals. He looks a player for them. Is it Guille or something like that?
Guille, Pape Guille, yeah.
Yeah, I've been impressed with him. So yeah, I'm not disappointed. That'll be a good advertising for Scottish football.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And McGinty, they're the form team along with us in the domestic leagues, and I think they've won every game that they played in. Their new manager, Jimmy Thielen, I believe his name is, has done a fantastic job with the squad. And obviously, this is what I always say, see if teams in Scotland look outside the parapet of the likes of fucking Stephen Naismith and Jack Ross and Jim McIntyre and actually appoint a manager who's had relevant success, then they're going to get a good brand of football and an ambitious team. And Aberdeen at this precise moment in time are the embodiment of that, in my opinion. They've actually recruited outside the box. They've brought in a Scandinavian manager who was managing Elfsborg in Sweden, had them in Europe, had them punching above their weight. And Aberdeen, at the moment, are reaping the benefits of that. And they look a good team. They look like they have a solid squad. Some players who maybe didn't get an opportunity previously are coming back in, like Pape Gueye. Obviously, Bojan Miovski's left. He's come in. He's banging in the goals. They've got good players across the pitch, and it's a tie we can't take lightly, McGinty.
I think it's a great tie. I think it's a great draw. Celtic Motherwell final. I think it's an absolutely fantastic draw. So it is. We can't. All seriousness, we can't take Aberdeen lightly. Was it 8 games unbeaten, all wins or something like that, or was it up to 13? I can't remember.
Plus their League Cup group campaign, they were unbeaten.
I think they're on 13 then. I wasn't sure what number I had. I think it must be 13 then. And it's like unbeaten. As you say, thinking outside the box, bringing a manager that has a bit of a track record of actually doing something a bit different and brings them into the Scottish League and look what's happening. There's 2 positive things I can think of right now based off of where we are in this league, this domestic season just now, and opponents that we have faced and could face in the last round and the next round. Falkirk are proven last season as well, and this season, and against us, proving that if you have a goal, you can play exciting, good football and get a result quite often. Obviously, we bring on the big guns in the second half, and it's bad time for Falkirk at that point, and we just show the gulf in class. But if Falkirk keep playing like that against every other team, they'll be up next season, and they'll have a good go at it next season when they're here. And a team like Falkirk going up against even a Hearts and a Hibs and a Motherwell and let's say a Rangers as well.
Falkirk beat Hearts in the League Cup.
Yeah. The round before. They'll get something out of these games if they come up next season. And Aberdeen are showing the same thing. Think a bit differently. Stop going for the same old, park the bus, negative football nonsense, and bring a manager in who wants to play football, wants to play a good game, and they'll win a lot more games against the Dross. Now, when Aberdeen come up against us, we'll see what happens. I would expect us to win, of course, but I'm also expecting
our strongest team out, Anthony. In the semi-final, we'll have our strongest team out.
Absolutely.
We won't make the change like we did yesterday. We will have our strongest.
No, absolutely not.
So,
and it'll be good to see, and I think it's a positive thing for Scottish football, and I would like to see more teams doing it. It shouldn't have to take this long, 2024, for us to finally start seeing something happening where teams actually want to play football and have a go and actually get the plaudits for it. Now, if we can get a few more teams to do this, maybe by chance, these teams can get into European competitions and actually do all right, as opposed to the negative nonsense, and see if we can keep doing that little bit extra. It all snowballs eventually for us as a league. But anyway.
And it'll help as well when it'll be a good TV spectacular, because Aberdeen will fill it, they'll sell their allocation the way they're playing, and rightly so. They'll be asking for a bigger allocation than they did get for the semi-final in the Scottish Cup last season. We will sell out our allocation, so it will be a good game. 5:30 kickoff. It'll be dark as well. November, under the lights. It can all be good. I hate Hampden, but I'm still hoping I get a ticket for it.
What more could you ask for? What more could you ask for a League Cup semi-final? But look, that brings us to the end of the podcast. McGinty, have you enjoyed it?
100%. I love it when we're actually able to talk about positive stuff, even though I'm a grumpy negative bastard.
By the way, James is bad on Friday night, slagging James Forrest, and Anthony just gets stuck in Michael and that tonight. So.
It goes around about, Jed. Goes around about. Did you enjoy it, Jed? Have you had a good one tonight?
I did. Like I say, I enjoy a wee Monday. It's not on for 4 hours.
That's the Wednesday and Friday podcast. But just to make people aware, we might, depending on availability, we might be running on a restricted schedule, but there'll be still another podcast either Wednesday or Friday this week. There's just a few people unavailable due to personal reasons and different circumstances, which we have to understand. So we'll be back either Wednesday or Friday with a podcast looking towards the weekend. As I said, we are nominated for the Football Content Awards for the Best International Podcast or Sporting Podcast. The link was posted earlier in the chat. If you want to go behind it and support it, throw us a few votes. Might not get anywhere, but we appreciate it. Everyone in the comments tonight, we fully appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Tell a few other people about it, get them subscriber numbers up. But until either Wednesday or Friday, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.
Yep.
Hail, hail.